Pretty big Warhammer 40k news today, as we've got the starter sets revealed for Warhammer 40k 10th edition. Let's take a look at the three sizes of boxes that you can pick up, and what's going to be in each of them. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics, where today I thought we'd take a look at Games Workshop's newly previewed starter sets for Warhammer 40k, the follow-up to the Leviathan box, and look like there's a good chance there'll be some pretty decent deals on picking up some Space Marines, Tyranids, and maybe Terrain. These are the three kits that have been announced. There's the 40k Introductory Set, the 40k Starter Set, and the 40k Ultimate Starter Set. These three are sort of equivalent kind of sets that are following up the releases that they had for 9th edition. That one started with the Indomitus box of Space Marines vs Necrons, and then we had three different offerings of different sizes to jump into the game with the smaller Recruit and Elite editions, both of those mainly focused on miniatures, and then the Command edition which had a bit more in terms of terrain and rulebook. The way it works then, which still seems to be the same way now, is that the Leviathan box, while it was a big box that quite a lot of people wanted, that's only a single run. Once everywhere's sold out of it, it will be gone, and then these will be the main way that Games Workshop expect people to get into Warhammer 40k, or at least if they want to start with Space Marines or Tyranids. The box sets should be ones that they keep in stock until the end of the edition, so these will be more like additions to Games Workshop's core range than single run box sets. And in general, the history for these has been that they tend to be a lot cheaper than most things that Games Workshop tend to sell, at least on a per model basis. They like to have them as an easy entry point to the game, so it does mean that if you wanted any of the miniatures inside any of these, the sets themselves should be fairly cheap for what they are, at least by Games Workshop standards, and there should be a good secondary market for any of the miniatures going on eBay. This time round, we've got another three different sizes of box set. The 40k Introductory Set that you can see on the top right. This appears to be an attempt to make a one-shop stop to start people getting some miniatures together and getting paint on them. Unlike the Recruit set, it does have paints and modelling supplies in there. The medium box, which they call the 40k Starter Set just in general. This one's the most pure miniature focused, so perhaps could be one of the more interesting ones for established hobbyists. Looks like it might be somewhat the equivalent of that No Fear box set that we had back in 8th edition perhaps. A fairly respectable force of Space Marines and Tyranids on both sides, looks like around about 400 points of each. Though kind of frustratingly, it's not quite enough to make the combat patrol sets for the armies. If you want those, it's the 40k Ultimate Starter Set. They contain the full new 40k Space Marine and Tyranid combat patrol sets, plus some terrain and a core rulebook. At the moment, there's no current word on pricing or release date. I'd imagine that they probably won't be too far off, given that the Leviathan release has happened, and they're not going to leave 40k without a way to jump into it for too long. For pricing, I suspect it's going to be a fairly similar structure to last time. Maybe around the £30, $50 mark for the introductory set, perhaps around $60 to $70 or $100 to $120 for the middle set, and then maybe £90 to £100 or around about $180 for the bigger set. That would be my first guesses at the time of recording. I suspect they will represent at least fairly good value for the points that you can get in game out of the box sets. They should be discounted compared with buying any kits separately. Starting off then, let's take a look at the 40k Introductory Set. This one's got 10 Termagants, 1 Ripper Swarm, and 5 Infernus Marines on the modelling side of things. All of these are push-fit miniatures, as the same as the ones that came in the Leviathan box, the idea being that newer players could get them together without any glue. Then, this one also comes with a set of 5 paints as well: Abaddon Black, Wraithbone, Balthazar Gold, Nagaroth Knight, and Macragge Blue. Enough to get some very basic colours on your Space Marines and Tyranids. If you did want them looking at anything like the box art though, you'd probably need to pick up some more paints and some shades and basing supplies. They've also got some clippers to remove the bits from the sprue, a paintbrush to put the paint on the miniatures, a range rule, some dice, and a cardboard gaming mat to play some games on. I say that this set really does well what it sets out to achieve. Doesn't really look like it's trying to cater too hard for existent hobbyists. Looks like it's more aimed at people that are starting 40k from a standing start and might not have basic things that you kind of need to get your miniatures together, with the paints, paintbrush and clippers. I feel like including all the painting and modelling supplies maybe might lessen its value a little bit to current collectors, though I guess if you happen to need one or two of the paints out of that set, plus you're not against the idea of getting an extra paintbrush and clipper set, I guess this could still be quite an interesting kit. In terms of miniatures in the box though, it might not have quite the same sort of value as the Recruit box set for 9th edition, which was quite nice to have both the character and the squad in the box. If you just want to focus on miniatures, then the 40k starter set seems to be the one that they're trying to cater for that. I think the miniature offering in this one does look rather good. It's a decent chunk out of the miniatures from the Leviathan box. The Tyranids do get a fair bit more plastic than the Space Marines do. As mentioned though, it gets you almost the entire combat patrol set for both sides here, but just missing one unit, which maybe is a little bit on the frustrating side. I feel like this set would have been a clear winner out of the three if it just included the Terminator Librarian and the Barbgorns. It does have the rest of them. Included in the box set are the Space Marines Captain and Terminator armor from Leviathan, the one with the power sword, 5 monopose Terminators, the standard ones with the assault cannon, not getting any fancier options like they might release down the line, 5 Infernus Marines with the flamethrowers, and then the Tyranids get really quite a lot more models, the Winged Prime, 20 Termagants and 2 Rippers, 3 Von Ryan's Leapers, and the small monster devouring bug that is the Psychophage, making your nearby Tyranids a little bit tougher. It's kind of interesting that this one is pictured with a 40k core rules book, though it's not actually mentioned in the free text. It only seems to be mentioned in the free text for the really big box set, so I'm a bit unsure as to whether or not it's really supposed to be in. I'd guess it probably is going to be included in the set if it's featuring in the promo art for it, unless they made a mistake there. I'd guess if it's pictured here, then it's probably going to be in the box. I guess that is another asset. It also appears to come with a bigger gaming board, some more dice and 2 range rulers this time, plus some data cards for each of the units here. Looks like the data cards might more closely resemble the Combat Patrol data cards though. The Captain looks like he's only got the 1 special rule and no choice of war gear, and the Terminators only have 1 special rule as well. Looks pretty interesting to me though, if this really is priced in line with things like the Elite Edition set last time, or something akin to No Fear in 8th edition, this one could be quite a good one for the miniatures alone. The Space Marines do get less, but those new Terminators really are quite popular, and the Tyranids will give you a pretty decent reinforcement to your swarm, so seems fairly good overall. Then finally we have the 40k Ultimate Starter Set. This one feels like it's basically an expansion on the previous one, the Standard Starter Set. Though in terms of actual upgrades on the previous one, it looks like you just get the Terminator Librarian, 5 Barbgorns, and the terrain in the set. Beyond that, it at least looks fairly similar. Again, there's the pictured core rulebook, which is mentioned in the free text as well, so I guess that one's confirmed to be in this. Apparently that core book also has the Combat Patrol rules as well, so you can play Combat Patrol right out of this box, and I guess that's a nice thing to have in addition to the core rules. The extra units give it a little bit of extra value, but not too much I think, and then beyond that it's a hab bunker and some stockade terrain that you get. Looks handy enough to have, but maybe not the most meaningful terrain in 9th edition perhaps. Looks like the majority of it wouldn't block too much line of sight besides that bunker I suppose. Definitely doesn't hurt to have in the terrain collection though if you're trying to get things together for a gaming table. Overall looks like a solid set of 3 box sets to me. Obviously how good value they are does depend on their eventual price, though I'm at least cautiously optimistic that there'll be better deals than most as far as Games Workshop are concerned. Both the regular and the Ultimate Starter sets look kind of useful to established hobbyists, at least if the price is right for them. And it should be kind of good news if you wanted to pick up some, say, Von Ryan's Leapers, a Psychophage, or some Infernus Marines or something on the second-hand market. Means after even the Leviathan feeding frenzy has died down a bit, they should still be fairly cheaply available online. Let me know what you make of these though, which of these are you most excited for and why, and would you be tempted to pick any of them up yourself? If you've enjoyed the video, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, or I'll certainly keep the regular 40k videos coming. I do tend to post new ones just about every day. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page as well, and you can find that linked in the video description if you'd like to help support. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you or you just like to help support, then the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.